Greetings and salutations, episode number 5 of the PSVRLIFE podcast. My name is Danthol. I'm here with my co-host, Schleis. How's it going, Schleis?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's actually my birthday, Pearl Harbor Day.
Happy birthday. Still in your 20s. You're like a baby.
Yep, 24. I'm feeling older every day. Every day past this is going to get worse. I just know it.
Yeah, 24. What was I when I was 24? I think I was in the process of getting married, and right around that time. That's when I started to become an adult instead of just running around and doing whatever I wanted to do all the time. Settle down in life, but
now you're making me feel better because I'm not married. That's not going to happen. I've been with my girlfriend for like 9 years though, so like that's I got that. We don't want to marry, but
it sneaks up on you. There'll be that moment that'll just happen. You won't know it happens, but it'll come at you quick. We'll see. Maybe you'll get lucky. You millennials are doing things later and later in life than any other generation before, so that's fine. Excellent week in the PlayStation virtual reality. Every week's like been crazy busy. Every once in a while I'll go on online and I'll see people complaining there's not enough stuff, and I'm like, you're insane if you say if there's not enough stuff. So many things to talk about. Star Wars Battlefront VR, Resident Evil demo, we got some reviews, we got a bunch of things to talk about this show. What do you want to start off with today?
We got some first impressions / quick reviews that I wanted to go through. I got Werewolves Within last night. Nice. That game, I wasn't going to buy it, but then after finding people online saying that they love it and it's a really good social experience, I love this game. I spent 4 to 5 hours last night, all the way into the night, just talking to people, getting to know people. It's a really fun game where you try to just like use your social deduction and try to figure out who's on your side or who's not on your side. It's really fun. You get to see their avatars, and you have all these emotes that make everything funny. There's the air quotes, so whenever you say, yeah, he's not a werewolf, and you put up air quotes or something, it's that game nice. Really puts you in there and makes you feel like you're just an avatar in there, kind of like the Ready Player One, which you told me to read, and I want to talk about that later, but it really made me feel like we were already in that universe of Ready Player One. Yeah. Nice.
Just taking a look at it, it reminded me a lot of VTime, which is an app on the Gear VR and now on the iPhone, and it'll start showing up on Daydream and everything else. I know that the PlayStation VR is going to get VTime eventually, but that's just a purely social experience with no game elements yet. This looks like it could potentially be used for that. If people just wanted to like BS and chat and have a good time and ignore the game entirely, you could. But the Werewolves Within is based on a board game. But this gets you in a virtual reality version where you can see your avatars. The research I've done on it when I was looking at Game Grumps did a play of it, not of the game, not a PlayStation game, but like the actual board game,
tabletop, yeah,
and tabletop, yeah. So that looks interesting. I've ordered it myself. I was kind of on the fence. I wanted to see what people were saying about it, see how glitchy it was, or if there's going to be a community there. And it looks like there's going to be. I'm sure by when Christmas rolls around, you're going to see a ton of people flooding in. So that'll be a good game to have post-Christmas when people are booting up their PSVRs for the first time and doing that. So 4 to 5 hours. How many games did you get in that time, do you think?
Oh, many games. And I tried to get off, but the group I was with just said, no, one more. Like, I really made a lot of good friends. I made lot of good friends on there. There was Mr. Wex. Mr. Wex is a great guy. There was a Fragster. He is a pretty fun guy. And, oh man, like, I really felt like I was around a campfire with these people, and nice. It was awesome. After a game ends, then the next game starts up. You all have to press circle or go into you open up your playing book and then click your bookmark to say that you're ready to start the next game. But there was, like you said, it's like a social experience. So a lot of the time, after a game, we just wanted to talk about how much fun we had in the game prior, so we wouldn't be pressing circle or starting the next game. So there was probably a good 2 hours of just talking without playing the game, just having fun. Yeah, man, I've never had a good social experience on that level on any video game. And I don't see how it's even possible on any game, because you feel like you're with these other avatars. And I really like that. For me, when I started up, I chose that I'm always going to be a male character. So, and I was mostly this African American, well, actually African Arab like guy. He has like a turban.
Sure.
And the whole time, except for the first time. First time I was like a Tom Green like character with a mustache, with a goatee and everything. And then because when I first booted it up, it crashed my PS4, and I had to unplug my PS4 and plug it back up. Which I heard that some people are having that problem, but after it happened once, it didn't happen again. So, yeah, I love that game. Oh my gosh.
So, like, way better of a social experience than, like, Sports Bar was then?
Sports Bar is a goofing around social experience. I mean, I played some good chess games on there with some people, but the only thing Sports Bar needs to do is they have this feature in there where you can put a shield around the pool table so people can't mess up your game.
Right.
But in a Sports Bar, you can only do that on the pool table. It doesn't work on any other game, so people can still mess up your games if you're playing chess. So
that's messed up.
Yeah, I played one game of chess, and then halfway through, like, somebody was like throwing stuff around, and we had to try to figure out where the pieces were, and they're like mad at me. Yeah. So that game still needs some work. They updated Sports Bar since the first week. It's like a whole new game now. So, and it's only $10 right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the holiday sale. It's good to see that they're throwing some games in the holiday sale. That's on sale, and Cat Lateral Damage on sale, and the 100-foot Robot Golf is also on sale. The 100-foot Robot Golf is like $13.99 American, and I'm tempted by it, but I don't think I'm going to play it. I'm probably missing out. I thought the same thing about Bound. I'm like, oh no, it's going to be good. And I'm like, I don't like Bound so much. I don't know. I got the Sports Bar. I tried it out. The only, like, social experience I had was some little, like, obviously like a 10-year-old kid by the way they were talking. And everybody else was just, shooting their guns and kind of goofing around. I don't like the motion in it. Turning around and everything's a pain. You have to go into Hulk mode where you hit the T button.
Once you get, you hold the move buttons, both move buttons.
Right.
And once you get how to do it, it's actually pretty fun. Like, I mean, an easy way to reorient where you're standing, but they did not do the motion on that well at all. Like, it's really hard to get down, but once you get it down, it's cool. Yeah, it's kind of like learning a different operating system or something.
But you see people when they're moving around, sometimes you see their motion controllers, and it looks like they're rowing a boat. That's what it's like. Your motion controller's like two oars that are like really ineffective. They can turn you around and everything. But I played some skee ball, and I played some pool against the computer. I didn't find anybody. I didn't have the patience to look around and find somebody. I'm sure given some time, you'll find some people in there. And Sports Bar might be, if you know somebody's going to be in there at a certain time having fun with them, that might be okay. The audio wasn't that great. Like, just listening to people talk. I figured since everybody's going to be on a PSVR, it'd be like equal, but it just didn't seem that way. I don't know why.
It depends on who you get, actually. Like, that game really lives or dies on the group of players that are in it. So, yeah, that 10-year-old probably didn't help.
It doesn't seem like there's consistency with the audio, though, and I would think since everybody has the same hardware, there would be. But the audio was pretty good in Werewolves.
Yeah, really good. The only thing is, so you're allowed to whisper to the people left and right of you to like share information secretly.
Sure.
And some roles that you have special roles. Like if you're a werewolf, if you whisper to somebody for more than 5 seconds, you sniff out their role and you get to know their role, and it gives you more information to help win. So. But the audio cuts out only about 25% of the time when you're whispering. But that's it. Just when you're whispering, it's so weird. Like when you lean over and you try to whisper, I have no idea why, but just 25% of the time. Most of the time, it's pretty spot on.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Other than that, keeping up my top 10 score in Pinball FX2. At the time of this recording, I'm number 8. The highest I think I ever got was number 7. And then I invited a bunch of Reddit people to be my friends to help boost my wizard score. And I'm number 3 on the wizard score. Number 2 is cannabis. But I'm loving that, as an early adopter, I have the benefit of being in the top 10 in something in my life on a video game ever. But I put a lot of time into it. Like that game, I'm hardcore. I play Pinball FX2 for like hours at a time. I'll get one table and I'll play that table. I'll totally, like, if that first ball isn't good, game starts over. A lot of times, like, if I don't get the skill shot, start game over until I have, like, I set, like, I have to get 8 million on the first ball. If I get 8 million on the first ball, then I'll try on the second and third. And it's brutal when you're like only like a million away from beating your high score. But
yeah, I got that game like right after you, like a day after you got it, and I like it. I like games that don't have any story. It's just like mindless mechanics. I love it, so I could listen to podcasts and play that game. I've been trying to beat your scores, but that is not something I could do. Oh man, you are very hardcore. Like, I can't
those
believe.
Things. The other night, I'm getting better and better at the gutter pops. Like when it falls down the side gutter, if you know how to do it, you can pop that thing back up into play.
When it comes down, I do that too. When it goes on the sides, the left and right.
Yeah,
it's like you have to put one flipper up and then pop it up, huh?
Yeah, there's like you do one pop and then you have to do a second pop after. It's like a pop. Like if you do it too quick, it won't happen. You have to time it just right, and you only get 3 pops, and then you get a tilt. And if you tilt it, then you lose all your bonus and everything.
What does that mean, tilt? I've seen that on there. I don't know what it means, tilt.
You don't know what tilt is?
No, I have no idea.
I mean, like old, like real pinball machines have like a tilt sensor in there. So if you're banging it too much, then it's going to tilt, and it's a way to keep you from breaking the pinball machines. So that's
you tilt
just
the
a carryover.
Machine? Like, how do you tilt the machine? Do you?
Well, it's called a tilt because you can literally with a physical pinball machine. We used to do this. They had one at my community college, Indiana Jones machine that had no tilt sensor in it, to where if the ball started to go down, you can pick up the machine and roll the ball back into play, or you can just get some crazy English and get it back up in there.
So how do you pick up the machine in this game?
Well, you don't pick up the machine. You just you hit the controller. That's what here's one little pro tip in there. In order to get the table bump, take it off of the analog and put it on the cross pad. So you can hit up, because you want to hit up directly. With the analog, sometimes you might hit up and to the left or up and to the right. Up is what you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering why I couldn't hit the paddles. Like, I'd be hitting the table with the control stick, and then it would lock my paddles, and I thought it was a bug. So.
Oh no, that's a tilt. If you bump it more than twice, then it tilts, and that's what it's supposed to do. Is you're not supposed to do that too often.
I see.
But yeah, no, totally loving that. After the funny story on that, I played the Resident Evil demo. We'll talk about that here next. But after playing the Resident Evil demo, I played the Epic Quest table, and there is a little monster thing that's on your right whenever you're playing. And because I was so traumatized by Resident Evil, I was playing pinball after, and the monster was there, and it scared me.
Yeah,
so I got
it comes
scared
up right into your right eye. It just pops up there every once in a while.
Well, no, I turned to my right and I saw it. I was like, because I was just so. Oh, God. So other than that and
Star Wars.
Well, you want let's talk about Resident Evil, then we'll go into Star. I need a nice story after Resident Evil. What did you played we both played the Resident Evil demo, the first hour, and that's intense. It's so good though. Like, this is like the promise of virtual reality to come. I don't like that it was like this dilapidated house with the wallpaper and the mold and the dolls and the horse meat and everything else like that. It was really dark and grim, but very convincing. Very, very good use of VR. Very intense. And, oh man, that game just undid me. Like, I didn't think like a video game would be able to like scare me and make me as tense as that game did. But absolutely. What did you think of it?
I loved what Capcom did with the options of this game. Did you go into the options menu?
Oh yeah, I turned on that smooth turning and everything, and I did it straight analog, no turning like by degrees.
Yeah, me too. Smooth, like they have so many options for comfort or without comfort, like options galore. I love it. I love just tweaking like it to be perfect. Like this is probably a game that first voicemail we had, like this is what they need to get away with their motion sickness, you know. I love the options, but the gameplay aspect, I'm surprised they put this much gameplay into a demo. It's really an hour. It's really an hour. I am very excited for Resident Evil 7. I usually buy horror games and then never play them. So, but this is one I'm going to have to stomach my way through. I liked basically everything about it. I wonder if there is guns. I've picked up ammo, but I'm not sure about guns and how to use them. So we'll see how that works. Oh, you didn't get the gun?
Yeah, there's a gun in there.
No, I just got the bad ending. I went out the back door and got a bad ending. So, and then I haven't played it since. Yeah.
No, there's a gun in the toilet.
In the toilet, upstairs, downstairs.
That would be. I mean, the ground floor.
Ground floor. Like, yeah, I'll have to look.
Yeah, you go into the room. Well, I don't know. Are we spoiling it by telling people about it? Hey, we're going to spoil the game. Go play it right now and then come back or not play it. But no, when you first go into like the room with all the bodies kind of hanging where the molded is, where you first see the molded, there's a wheel there, like a crank wheel, and you take that and you go back into the bathroom and you put the wheel on and it turns on the water so you can flush the toilet, and then there's a gun in the toilet. And then there's like a little box of bullets in there. You don't get many. You have to find the bullets in the rest of the house.
So how does the gun work?
It's just like any other first-person shooter kind of gun. You have the gun in there, and you pull the right trigger, and it shoots it. And then you reload it.
Does it aim with your head, or does it aim with the stick?
I forget now. I'm thinking it aims with the stick.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to play it again to get there. But that's how you get the good ending, is you make sure that the molded doesn't... If the molded hits you once, bad ending, period.
What's the molded? I didn't even see that. I haven't seen that.
The molded is the monster thing that you're fighting.
I didn't see any monster. I just saw a guy that went out the back door. Oh, I mean, he went... I got the key and whatever for the back door. I'm like, oh, cool, I could go outside and not be scared. And then I went outside, and the guy grabbed my shoulder, turned me around, and punched me, and said, bad ending.
Okay, so that's the third ending, then. There's more than two. There's one where you get the key and you get out, and it says that you did good, and like there's like this news report, and they just said that there's no evidence there, and they thought maybe the people are on LSD or whatever. And then there's the bad ending where the molded hits you, and then you try and go the ladder out the attic, and you fall down and Jack, whatever. And so like you didn't have any of the major scares in there. What scares did you have if you never saw the molded?
I just went upstairs, and then there was like a mannequin that appeared right up behind me where the stairs were. That was a little bit creepy. Just like the whole ambiance, not too many jump scares.
Oh, okay.
There was like one jump scare when the man was walking past, and that jump scared me. I'm trying to think of another jump scare.
The jump scares
in the VHS tape. There was a jump scare in the VHS tape when you go down.
When you go down and you turn around, and then there's the guy, and he's like standing there like the Blair Witch Project, and you don't know what's happening, and he has the pipe in his mouth. For me, it was the one where you first get the bolt cutters, and there's the doll head that falls down.
Yeah,
that
too.
Room's already creepy. Like I almost felt like I smelled that room. But yeah, I was like, oh god, it's so gross.
Yeah, my cat was actually going to the bathroom when I was playing that game. It fit. Yeah, it really fit. Just like, oh man. Yeah,
that's funny.
The litter box right near us, so it was disgusting. I had to spray some crap.
The molded hits you, and then Jack closes it's the first time I saw Jack. Is he's there and he puts a box in the door, and you have to kick the door down before the molded gets to you. But so if you get the crank, you get the gun, You get enough bullets, you go back in the room, you shoot and kill the molded, and then you escape, and that's when you get a good ending. So I guess there's multiple endings. I didn't know you can do it without ever seeing them. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that at all. That's crazy.
No, but the first night, like I was too chicken to play it. I was like, no.
Wait for the morning.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. It's like 11 at night, and I was enjoying the ambiance and going around, but I didn't want to necessarily be scared like 15 minutes before I was going to go to bed. I had to go to work the next day. So I held off, and I played it again later. Really good. I enjoyed how well the VR worked. I'm not going to be buying the game. This isn't my kind of thing at all. Like, totally keep me in with, like, normal. I don't know. I don't like horror games. The first Resident Evil I kind of liked, and I tried some of the other ones later down the line, but I was never a big Resident Evil fan. I just didn't like the gameplay on them. I don't know. That's just me. Like Devil May Cry, love it. Love Capcom games and the stuff they come up with. The Resident Evil series just doesn't appeal to me. So you're going to be the one reviewing that when that comes out.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat it. Like, I have, like, a horror game curse where I don't go to them. I buy them full price, day of release, and I can't play them, and they just sit there.
Right.
So.
But this was one of the first games to bring back any kind of motion sickness, really. Like, I actually got a little bit. Wow. I got a tinge. Yeah, it messed with me a little bit. It might have been because it was late. But
you gotta mess with those settings, man.
Yeah, maybe I needed to tweak the settings a little bit more. I got through it, but it was a little bit uncomfortable. So I still get that a little bit. It wasn't the worst thing, and taking the break and playing it in the morning helped. That's the way it goes. If you feel those things, even if you're a pro and you've been doing it for a while, take a break. Go do something else. Go watch some videos. For me, I went back and played pinball and beat one of my high scores, and I was totally stoked about that. So, totally worthwhile.
Yeah, thank you for boosting my friend's score, man. Like, you're the only one. Yeah.
Oh, Battlefront VR demo.
So, are you a Star Wars fan?
When I was a kid, Star Wars was still kind of new. I was born in 1975, so Star Wars in 77 was definitely one of those first little things. I still have my Star Wars Golden book with a little record that you put on the record player and it reads the book to you, and R2 beeps when you're supposed to turn the page kind of thing. I have that, and I have a Hobbit one. I love them. So I love the original Star Wars. I actually got to see Return of the Jedi in the theater when it was first released, and I really liked those. The series after that, not so much. The current movies, I don't know. I guess I've kind of grown into being a Star Trek fan more than a Star Wars fan. But Star Wars video games I've always liked. I liked the ones, the arcade, the Star Wars arcade with the big curved screen and everything. I wish they'd bring that to virtual reality. That would be really good. But this was really good. I liked it a lot. Short. It's like 17 minutes. Totally replayable to kind of boost your score shooting up the TIE fighters. The ambiance was good. The AT-AT walker, or AT-AT walker, at the beginning was impressive. I wish there would have been more. And I wish it would have been some multiplayer. But that's asking too much for a VR demo.
Yeah, so I'm not really a Star Wars fan at all. Every time I try to watch it, I fall asleep. Any Star Wars game.
Really?
Or movie. Any Star Wars
The Star Wars movies put me to sleep. Like, if I want to fall asleep, if I watch Star Wars, I fall asleep every single time now. I've seen them like 15, 20 times, and it's like, they bore me now. Yeah, totally. Okay, continue.
Yeah, well, for the first times, I can't even get through them for the first time, so... last time I tried to watch a Star Wars movie was maybe 10 years ago, so I'll have to try again. But this actually made me like Star Wars a little bit because I really like the immersion of it. I didn't think I would like it at all because just in space, it's kind of like Eve. I mean, it's not really showing off VR too much because most of it's just black. But there was some big ships that you get to fly around and everything, and I got used to the controls, and I was beating up those TIE fighters. Is that what they're called? Yeah, I was beating those up. I have a friend who does the Star Wars Battlefront podcast, Sage, and he said he wants to talk about it. Maybe we'll get him on as a guest sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a pretty big following with that podcast. He loves Star Wars; it's the biggest thing for him. So, but it surprised me. I liked shooting lasers, and and I loved clicking all the buttons and seeing what the buttons are doing in the ship. Did you do that?
No, I didn't. You can go and play with all the buttons in there?
All of them. They all, I think they all do something, but I can't figure out what some of them do. Some of them are just clicked. But yeah, there's this one button that's to your right, and it's has these 8 beam things. I don't know why it's 8, but what it does is you click it, and then it has these dots that are under these beam representations. And you click it, and what it does is when you shoot your regular laser, it shoots them out of the different ones at different variants out of the tips of your X-Wing. So
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's really cool. So you could, I really liked using them so it shoots all 4 at the same time. But if you click it, so it'll do 2 and then 2, 2 and then 2 opposite from adjacent corners of the X-Wing. So I like that. And there's some that talk to the R2-D2 behind you. Yeah, I like it. And every time you look behind at the R2-D2, he talks. And it's pretty cool.
Right.
So yeah, I liked it. It immersed me into the Star Wars universe. When you first start out, you don't have a body, which is weird.
Yeah.
And then you get a body. So I think that could be improved on. Bodies
in VR are weird. The whole concept of having a body and not having it be 1-for-1 where your hands aren't doing what your hands are doing. I'm looking forward to a game that really does a good job of that. I think Oh My Genesis is the best one for at least hands, for one-on-one hand motions and stuff like that. But bodies in VR. What did you think of like your hands in the Resident Evil demo?
I wish it was motion controllers, but there's no. I wish it was the Move controllers. There's no like control stick on them, so it'd be kind of difficult. But I'm a huge fan of bodies in VR. Anytime you have a body, like it adds to the immersion, even if your hands aren't where they're supposed to be. For me, anyway, I'm a big fan of having the body. I don't like looking down and seeing nothing. It just kind of disassociates me. So
yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit better if you're sitting. If you're sitting and there's a body, I feel better. If standing and there's a body, I'd have to be standing to feel. That kind of takes away from the immersion. But, it was worth the $750 I paid for Battlefront for the game. I plan on playing the game a little bit more, the flat game version of a little bit more. Whenever I want to play a shooter, though, I'm always drawn to Overwatch. I'll always play that.
So, did you watch the Game Awards?
I did watch the Game Awards, and I watched the pre-show for the Game Awards, and the pre-show is where they announced what the winner of the VR Game of the Year is. Their first ever virtual reality game award, and Rez Infinite got it, which I called on the show. I totally called on the show. We were talking about the awards, and I said Rez is going to win, and it won. I need to listen to the show to make sure that I actually did, but I'm pretty sure I said that it was going to win. I knew it was going to win. Totally deserves it. Rez Infinite was a great game. If for Area X only, the game itself was great. Of course, the Rez came out on the Dreamcast originally and then got re-released on the Xbox 360, I believe PlayStation 2 as well, and now on the PlayStation 4. Great game, totally deserves it, but I am completely pissed off that they did not give like at least a couple minutes to it on the live show. Like in the live show, they should have showed virtual reality. Like virtual reality, it's the future of gaming. Here's these games. Here's other things. And now here's an award. And let's bring up, and give the award to somebody. And they go up there and cry about, whatever. That dragon cancer. Everybody is crying during that award. But they didn't even get anything like that. Like 3 minutes before the award show, here, they won. And I'm like, I was so mad. It ruined the entire rest of the game awards for me, which was like a big commercial for Doom, which frustrated me.
That's why I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it because I kind of boycott the Game Awards because what they did to the Last of Us. They gave, last year, I think, or 2 years ago, one of those, they gave GTA 5 Game of the Year over The Last of Us, and that anybody could tell that The Last of Us is a far more milestone game than GTA 5. So
okay.
So I try to boycott them. I did watch the YouTube video of when Greg Miller won the Gamer of the Year award. Yeah. They did that. that's a new thing. Gamer
of the year, and then they had like the YouTuber of the year, where Boogie won that. Boogie 71
really? That's
or whatever.
Good. He deserves it. Yeah, that guy's awesome. I like Boogie.
I've watched a couple of his video, like streaming things. I watched him No Man's Sky. He streamed that, and he's a funny guy. I like his YouTube videos, and he deserves it.
I like his character when he does the character.
Francis.
Yeah, Francis. That's what it is. That's hilarious. So, do you know who won the Gamer of the Year award this year?
No.
No? Oh, okay. Must not have been important. So, yeah.
A lot of it I skipped because I didn't want to watch the commercials. It's like, oh, this game Doom is so great. Look at this, and then now we're gonna have a band play a Doom song, and here's a commercial for Doom, and now we're doing Action Game of the Year. Oh, guess what? It's Doom. It's like that came out forever ago, and it seems like they give the awards to whoever buys the most advertising in the process. That really seems to be the way it goes. And like the indie games and everything else kind of take a back seat to them advertising for, here's the new Gears of War game, or here's Cliffy B talking about his new game that's going to be coming out, Lawmakers or whatever the hell that is. All of the other flat games. I kind of skipped. I wanted to see what was going on with it. I didn't watch it in its entirety just because I already explained. But
yeah, I want to talk about that. If Rez didn't have Area X, I wouldn't understand why it won VR Game of the Year. But Area X made me cry multiple times. So if it just started out that way, I would think it'd be more deserving of the Game of the Year. But yeah, I liked Rez. I didn't care much going through the old game, but the Area X astounded me. So. Yeah, so Doom won the actual Game of the Year?
No, Game of the Year, Overwatch won, which it totally deserved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Overwatch got like multiplayer Game of the Year and like game design and then like overall game. Overwatch totally deserves it. I can't heap enough praise on that game. I love it. I've bought that game 3 times. I bought it for myself, I bought it for my kid, and I bought it for the PlayStation 4. That's a mark of a good game when you don't mind dropping another, 20, 30, 40, $50 on it. I even buy the loot crates when they come up there. So when they have an event, like if I didn't get one of the skins, I'll buy a couple crates to get a skin and get that Mercy Witch skin, of course, which everybody fetishizes.
The biggest PlayStation news, though, PlayStation Experience happened on the 3rd, I think. Did you watch that?
Only bits and pieces. That was a little bit disappointing for virtual reality as well. If you read forums and stuff, people were not pleased with it. What did you think of the PlayStation Experience?
So the keynote, you're right, didn't have too much VR in there at all. They mentioned Vita more than they did VR, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But on the show floor, they had lots and lots of VR. I think they did this because it's hard to show off VR in a keynote, and people might think it's boring. It's something you got to try. And people definitely got to try a lot of different games on the show floor. If you just look up YouTube, the Day 2 and show floor, there's a lot of VR games that are being shown off there. Farpoint is getting a lot of praise.
Yes.
Something that's not getting a lot of praise, though, is the Gran Turismo. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Gran Turismo's, it started off being like, oh, this is going to be the killer app for racing games. It's going to be great, and they've been developing this forever. I've watched documentaries on them making previous Gran Turismo games, and like their studios, Japan studios, where they're making this, like people sleep under their desks and work, 70 hours a week developing these games for years, and they have huge teams, and it's massive, and so they've been working on this game and really pushing it to be ready for 4K and HDR with their 10-bit color and everything else that they're going to be doing. And they were talking about the virtual reality, that you're going to be able to play the game in virtual reality. And then they kind of downgraded and say it's going to be not the entire game in virtual reality. And now we're finding out like they've only been working on the virtual reality portion of it for like 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's like a smaller team that's not even part of the core team. It's like another thing that's come on there. And those who have played the demos say it's kind of buggy and weird. The graphics are slightly better than like a Drive Club are, but in some ways they're not. So
I guess we're waiting for Project Cars to come over.
Is Project Cars going to be doing a VR thing? I haven't read anything on that.
Yeah, they said they're going to be. I think it's already VR on the Oculus and the Vive, but they're just trying to fit it into the PlayStation VR. So.
Yeah, the Trackmania is great. Trackmania works really well. The graphics on that on the Pro are awesome. I love Trackmania, and it's like, why can't they just do that? Why is it? I don't need a super realistic racer. I want an arcade racer.
I want a super realistic racer. Right. Yeah, that's what I want.
I want like San Francisco Rush in VR. Resurrect some of those kind of things. I want super arcadey jumping and going crazy and turbo
like a
boosts.
Kart racer, a Crash Bandicoot.
Totally. Crash Team Racing.
I got to talk about this. It's not VR, but The Last of Us Part 2 trailer.
Ooh.
Oh my God. Did you watch that trailer?
I have not.
Oh, you haven't. Did you play The Last of Us? Were you into The Last of Us at all?
I got The Last of Us Remastered was basically what I got the original PlayStation 4 for.
Oh man, that game I spent maybe like it says on my playtime for the multiplayer, the factions, it says like 4 weeks on the 4 weeks of actual hours on the PS4 and something like 2 months of actual hours on the PS3. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm actually more excited for a Factions Part 2 than the actual game, but I love the story. Like it's my favorite. That's my favorite game, hands down. The trailer, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. It made me cry just seeing. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but
okay.
I'm most excited for that game. I might even buy a 4K TV just for that game.
They're getting cheap. I see 4K TVs out there for like $400 now.
Yeah, well, that's the game that'll make me get it. Yeah, later on, I want to talk about my birthday present to myself.
Sure.
You guys might already know what it is, but we'll see. Anything else you want to talk about with PSX?
Not particularly with PSX. I'm glad that they did have a couple games that people were playing demos of. They had those set up, and there's that experience. I think next year, when we see these kind of things, VR is going to be a much bigger part. I think the Game Awards, VR Awards, going to be like a legitimate portion of their show. PSX is going to be significant, and I think it's just going to keep on ramping up. By next year, we'll probably hear about what Microsoft's going to be doing for VR, because they have their new Scorpio coming out, which is their answer to the PS4 Pro, and I'm relatively confident that they're going to throw some kind of VR headset in with that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Oculus. I really think.
Do you think it's going to be a modified Oculus? Yeah.
Well, they already mentioned a partnership with them for something.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's the Xbox is essentially a Windows 10 PC kind of geared for gaming. That's when you break it down, it's all the same components. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. But Microsoft hasn't had a good run with motion control kind of things. They forced everybody to kind of get the Kinect, and the Kinect didn't work great. When the Kinect 2 came out, everybody's like, yeah, we've seen that. We don't want that. And that failed. So they're going to have to knock it out of the park with whatever their VR thing is.
You know, it'd be cool if they did some sort of Oculus Touch mixed with a Kinect, so you get your full body in there with the hands, like one-to-one. That would be interesting. I'd like to see some technology company do that.
I don't see why the PlayStation camera can't do, what a Kinect does. It can see
the resolution. Yeah, just the resolution on the camera isn't as good, and it doesn't have all these 3D mapping technologies in it. Yeah, if you look at the Kinect, it's a heaping pile of technology. So. A lot of people use it for various things that aren't related to video games at all. So
I've seen some of those demos. Yeah, we'll see. Let's talk about Surgeon Simulator VR.
VR, yeah. So they came out the day of PlayStation Experience, I think. Was it PlayStation Experience?
Just about that. It's like a release that wasn't a regular Tuesday release. It's just like, hey, the game. Oh.
Yeah,
everybody's kind of surprised by it.
Yeah, I think they announced that it was playable at PSX. So
okay,
yeah. So what it is they did some weird stuff to the tracking. It's like ×2 tracking. So if you move your hand 1 inch, it'll go 2 inches or something like that. And people did not like it. Everybody's saying it's terrible. You shouldn't buy it. You shouldn't buy it. And then I want to read what they posted online. They posted this little snippet here I'm going to read. This says, the title was, Raise Your Hand If You Got It Wrong, Surgeon Simulator ER. Case in point, our control for Surgeon Simulator ER on the PlayStation VR. When we hit on the idea of ditching absolute tracking in favor of a relative one, in that when you move your hands X amount in real space, that translates to 2 times on VR. We had found a great way of making the experience feel more surgeon-y, which they mean clunky. They wanted it to be clunky, by taking players out of their comfort zones, requiring them to learn something new to deal with the game. But they're going to fix it, and it's in the patches in QA to make it 1-to-1 tracking. And I'm going to be buying it after that patch is live.
I'm going to hold out $20 for Surgeon Simulator. I mean, it's a $2 game on every other. I know it's not virtual reality in the other ones, but this is totally a sports bar for me. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till it's half off, and then I might bulk at it then. I don't need to play everything that's coming out. And Surgeon Simulator, when I played it, the flat game version of it, I wasn't terribly entertained by it. I get it, but
I think I'm going to do some sort of videos with it when I get it, just like cutting them up and making a story. I want to make a story with that game. Yeah. So I'm excited that they're listening to everybody and they're going to fix the problems. So.
Yeah, that was on the forums. People were just lighting that game on fire, just saying how bad it was. Like, don't buy this, it's broken, it's unplayable, I want my money back. And people were really, really upset. And then 1 or 2 people were like, well, this is what you're supposed to do, but it still plays pretty bad at this way. We'll see what the developers do in patching and putting out there. Definitely not a $20 game for me. It's heartbreaking when you see, developers put these games out there and they flop immediately. Werewolves Within, some people were having some really difficult times getting into games there, too. There were some technical issues going on. We'll see.
Yeah, but a lot of people said it just fixed after you restart your PS4, like turn it off and everything. Works.
There's a lot of that kind of thing. It seems like the solution to everything is, have you tried turning it off, then back on again?
Yeah, seriously.
Very much. There's hope for it. We'll see.
Yeah. So we have some news from Shuhei Yoshida about the PSVR sales and some data that he is willing to tell us about. So
yeah, we had the earlier story with Super Data and them saying, it's going to sell 250 million and then it's only going to sell 13 units. They're back and forth. And now the Sony boss here has given us, he hasn't given us any numbers, but he says, hey, it's doing good.
Yeah, he says, although Sony hasn't released sales figures for the PlayStation VR yet, Shuhei noted that it's selling out pretty much everywhere and reception has been very, very strong. So far, the most surprising thing for Shuhei about the way people are using PSVR is how long they're spending in virtual reality. He was expecting the intensity of VR to keep the playtime low, but looking at the data, people are spending many hours on the system every day. So that's a great thing to know.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's me too.
A couple hours a day for sure.
The attachment rate has got to be crazy because I already have it's 43 things in my VR folder. So yeah, this could be a big software cash cow. Attachment. Yeah, that's what sells. Totally. That's what sells developers on making games is the attachment rate. So
yeah, buy games.
Yeah.
When you get those out there, that's, partially, with Final Fantasy 15, I knew that game was going to be super cheap if I wait a little while. But, throw Square some early money, get them their releases so they can come up with Final Fantasy 15-2 and Final Fantasy 15-3. They're going to be putting out Final Fantasy 12 again and 7 again and everything else like that too. Crazy. Totally went off track there. It's good to hear that Sony likes that they're selling well, that they're giving some positive, feedback from the users and everything like that. That's totally what you and I want to hear. Is that the PSVR is here to stay. It's not just going to go away. It's not going to be like the Kinect or some of the other kind of things that have come on.
Yeah, the Super Data thing was really a red herring because that was their own numbers, and now we're hearing about the Sony's own company projections, which is what really matters. That's what is actually going to keep games coming keep VR support is their own projections rates, and it seems like it's selling out everywhere. So their supply is meeting the demand. Well, the demand's exceeding their supply. So that's a good thing. Every time I go into a store that sells them, I ask if they have them, and most of the time they don't have them. So that's a good thing.
So let's talk about your birthday present now. It's time.
Yeah. So at my place of work, I got a bigger discount for Christmas, and I got a PlayStation 4 Pro for about $300.
Nice.
And it's going to be about $100 because I'm going to sell my PS4, and I switched the hard drives. The PS4 Pro comes with a 1 terabyte, and my regular PS4, I put a 2 terabyte
nice
in there. So I had to switch them. It was 2 whole days of trying to get my hard drives and all my data where it needed to be. First, I tried the PS4 transfer thing, and that did not work. I've tried everything. Some people had the same problem. They couldn't transfer their data to their PS4. And there's this stupid networking issue where you have to connect to the Wi-Fi and Ethernet between the two PS4s. And but it didn't work. It didn't work at all. I even did this one thing that helped people is you're setting your DSN settings the same on both of them with the Google DNS settings, which is 8.8.8.8 and then 8.8.4.4. So, but that didn't work for me either, so I just had to get my hard drive out, my external. I have a 1 terabyte external, so I had to delete a whole bunch of games anyway. So to get it under a terabyte to transfer, and that took like 2 days. So, but, I want to talk about my experience with the PS4 Pro.
Sure.
And you said you didn't notice placebo or not, and I could tell you that the games that are updated for the PS4 Pro,
right?
If I could put it in one word, I would say clarity. You could read things with the PS4 Pro. Anything that is text is super legible on the PS4 Pro. I noticed it on the pinball on the regular PS4. If you're on the Epic Quest one and you see the roulette wheel in the bottom left corner on the bottom of the pinball machine,
yes,
I couldn't read it. I couldn't read the roulette wheel on the regular PS4. So, but on the PS4 Pro, clear as day.
Nice.
Clear as day. I could read all the little spinners, free ball, and everything. So. Yeah, and another game that I also needed to try out was Eagle Flight, because it has PS4 Pro support. And on the regular PS4, I would fly all the way up as far as I could go until I couldn't fly anymore, and then I'd look down, and I couldn't see anything on the ground, really. I mean, I would have to go closer to the ground for the draw distance to catch up. But on the PS4 Pro, it's complete draw distance. You're not losing anything. It's amazing. This is the clarity of the PS4 Pro, and I can't go back. I would not. I don't even know if somebody didn't have a PS4, I would say buy the Pro if you're interested in VR. But if you already have a PS4, then the upgrade might not. It depends on how much money you have to waste, how much disposable income you have. But I am super glad that I have it because I'm a fanatic. I'm the biggest fan of PSVR. So anything I could do to enhance my VR experience,
totally,
I'm super happy about. Yeah, so we got some pro-life news here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of games adding more pro stuff on there. Valkyrie being one of the more prominent ones. They've added some more maps, and they've added some pro support for the game as well. Dynamic shadows in the cockpit, increased particle effects, increased resolution in all parts of the game, and reduced loading times. All good stuff.
There's your clarity right there.
Absolutely. What else? Brookhaven, which is a game I haven't played. You say it's like a zombie shooter. They're coming at you, shoot them and turn around and everything like that.
Yeah, that game's pretty scary. I don't know if the clarity is going to make it less scary, but I'll see. I haven't booted it up yet, but the pro support is live for that. And are those only 2 things?
I think that those are the 2 pro things that are out there. I know other games. Oh no, I don't. Those are the only ones we had on there this time. But yeah, I love my Pro. I wouldn't go back at all. I've thought about playing some of the other games in there to see what they look like in the non-pro version, but I just don't have time for that. I got pinball to play, you know. Let's see. Other than that, we got some stuff. I want to talk about the free games coming out on PlayStation Plus. We have our first PlayStation Plus included game for free, which is Hypervoid. I paid, I think, $8 for it when it came out with the VR mode, and don't regret that. But if you don't have it, you can pick it up for free. You can't find it on the PlayStation 4 store. You have to go online and go to the PlayStation and shop for the PlayStation 3, because it's officially a PlayStation 3 PlayStation Plus game. But you can also get the PlayStation 4, which includes the VR. Totally suggest picking that up and playing it, at least until level 11, which then it becomes impossible because you have to twist your head up and looking at possible angles to keep playing.
Yeah, I like it. I only got to like level like 8 or something like that. I think it's weird how they did the VR. It's just 3D like in front of you. If you look behind you, there's nothing, like complete darkness behind you, which is odd. But it's a fun little arcadey game. I like it. It kind of reminds me of Tempest.
Yeah. It's kind of like Proton Pulse does that too. The game's in front of you. If you turn around Proton Pulse, there's really nothing going on behind you except for the whatever fading out behind. Even a Hollow Ball. Well, Hollow Ball, you have your car. But, other than that, things are just going on in front of you. Good game. The whole red laser, blue laser, green laser kind of thing going on and mixing that up and doing it. Some good gameplay. I like the way things unfold in there. I like the tunnel levels the most when you're in like a tunnel going. I enjoyed it. Good one. You should totally pick that up, even if you don't have Plus. I think it's still only $8. I don't even know. I can't find out how much it's going to cost on the store because I'm always logged in. But totally, other than that, did you finally read Ready Player One, Schleis?
Yes, you were really adamant. You were overly adamant that I read this book. And I did not pick up a physical copy. I got an Audible. You get a free book if you sign up there.
Yes.
And I loved this book. This book got me through playing a lot of pinball, trying to beat your score and everything. This really puts you in this world. It was narrated by Will Wheaton on the audiobook. On the audiobook version, and I like him. I like Will Wheaton. He's a good guy.
I love Will Wheaton. Yeah, I have one of his shirts he designed for a Woot shirt. It's got dice on it. It's really cool. Will Wheaton and his audiobook stuff. I've heard him do other things, and he's really good at that.
So this book really made me happy about the future of VR, but also scared me about the future of reality. So, you know what I'm talking about? You guys got to read this book if you like VR. So I love the set and setting. I love the world. It's just kind of dark, kind of scary, and I could actually see this stuff happening. But one thing I didn't like, which wasn't really my fault, just because I'm a millennial, had a lot of stuff in there I'm not familiar with, like
all the 80s references,
all the 80s pop culture. A lot of it I was not familiar with, so I could see how older people would like this book more. I did get like Ghostbusters and stuff like that, the really popular stuff, but a lot of the 80s references I didn't get. I'm not a big fan of rock music or anything, but there's like a lot of references to like Rush and stuff, all that AC/DC, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the author, when I reflect on it, is easier to like go backwards and have references for the 80s than try and have references for like like other things. To try and like have a future movie with future stuff can be challenging because it when you go into the future, like in 10 years, 20 years, whatever, this book's going to be like, he was like really wrong about all of that. Whereas if you focus it backwards, then you kind of, your book will stand up better.
Yeah, keep the technology aspect future, but the current like pop culture
Right.
Yeah.
For me, the way I explained it in the book is like the future's really bad. I mean, this kid's living in a trailer that's stacked on top of a couple of other trailers, and he has to do his virtual reality in the laundry room because it's the only room in the house that doesn't smell horrible. And I think the whole world is kind of nostalgic for a time in the 80s before technology had really taken over.
And the only reason for that is because of the contest that the book's about and the guy. That's the only reason why 80s pop culture is popular in this time, because it's kind of made to be by this Gunter movement trying to win the contest. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but you were definitely right. This is a book that every VR lover should read.
Yeah.
I love how they say that these safe lasers are going into your eyes and your full field of view. And I liked how they kind of had how different people who, however much money you have, you could buy better immersion rigs. That's what they call it. And now I'm thinking of my headset and my Move controllers as an immersion rig, and everything that I add on to it. If I get that bass thumping, vibrating back thing, that would be adding to my immersion rig. So yeah, I really liked that, and it made me hopeful for the future of virtuality tech.
I want the suit that you can put on that makes it feel like you're standing underneath a waterfall or whatever. Just those little things in there would be nice for that level of immersion. But in the book, he talks about a level of immersion that I definitely haven't felt in using the PSVR. I'm hoping the technology kind of comes to that point. Who knows if we're going to get the lasers shot directly into our eyes thing anytime soon.
I hope. But you should play Werewolves Within. It really makes you feel like you're sitting there with other people, like they do. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, great book. If anybody in our audience has not read or listened to the book, definitely go check that out. Good stuff. A lot of things going on now relate to things that are going on in the book. The big thing about it, the dream that I have of the book is just Oasis. The book has a virtual reality world called Oasis, group of servers where the world is consistent and you can travel in between locations, and in that world you can have like a stand-up arcade machine or a stand-up pinball machine, or you can go places and do things and have that whole world. If you want to go to a World of Warcraft realm, you can. If you want to go to these other places. So it's like a consistent world that you can explore and run around in. And I'm looking forward to something like that eventually coming to VR, instead of right now having to deal with the flat gaming, trope of having your crossbar and picking your games and loading them up and everything like that. I'd love to just put on the headset and immediately be in a virtual reality world where you're picking out what you're going to be doing or where you're going to be going. We'll see. Next generation, maybe.
Walk into the Last of Us 3 room, and then now you're in the Last of Us 3. That'd be awesome.
That's would be the way to do it. To have a menu that lets you pick the things that you're going to do. I'm hoping Sony is aware of the need to kind of move to virtual reality instead of this being an add-on kind of thing. But
it definitely needs its own operating system. Mm-hmm. Just using the PS4's operating system is half-assed, but
it's a gap. There's a bridge that we'll get over it. But that's all the time that we have for this show today. Listen, after the music, I am going to have a deeper review of World War Toons. You can also go to the webpage there to see our review of World War Toons. Well, specifically mine. Schleis, not the biggest fan. I think it's okay, but I won't spoil it with the review. We'll talk about that. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at PSVRLIFE. On Facebook, just search for PSVRLIFE or /groups/PSVRLIFE. You can go to our webpage, which is PSVRLIFE.com. You can email me at Danthol.com. All of our contact info is listed on the PSVRLIFE webpage.
Yeah, you could email me at StevenSchleis at iCloud.com.
please give us a call, 540-404-1376. We'll play your voicemail on the air. We got a couple really good emails, feedback for the show, pointers and tips for us to improve things. Overall, people seem to really be liking us. We're getting downloaded, we're getting listened to, and we're having tons of fun, which is the most important thing. Thank you very much for listening to episode number 5 of the PSVR Life podcast. I'm Danthol.
I'm Schleis. And put on your headset and get a life.
This is the review of World War Toons, a game for the PSVR and PlayStation 4. Make sure and check out the PSVR Life webpage, Twitter feed, and Facebook group for free redeemable codes for loot crates. I first found World War Toons while browsing the PlayStation Store the day I got my PSVR headset and added it to my downloads because, what the heck, it's free. It sat in my library for a week while I played the other launch titles like Rez, Battlezone, and Drive Club VR. I finally got around to playing it after watching a YouTuber playing online and had to go and see if it was as bad as the video made it out to be. It wasn't. There are 16 characters and 4 classes of characters in World War Toons. The Heavy, a rocket launcher wielding brute with a leap smash ability called the Bulk Smash. The Sniper, a sharpshooter with a gun that inflates heads for a perfect headshot, and an exploding Bombleganger special ability. The Officer, a fleet-footed force of nature with a bullet-avoiding ballet time. The Soldier, a machine gunner with the special ability to heal themselves and teammates with a picnic basket. Each class brings something different to the battlefield, and I hope they add more classes in the future. I liked the Soldier the most, as it seemed he was the most balanced and easy to play. Being able to self-heal made a huge difference. The Officer was fun to run circles around your opponents, the Heavy was good for quick eliminations, and the Sniper made headshots easy and satisfying. World War Toons is set in an over-the-top cartoon universe in a fictional World War II era. There are spring-loaded launch pads that launch you across the maps, onto building rooftops, and from one airship to another. Power-ups straight out of the Acme catalog like giant red rockets, uranium power cells, giant bouncing bombs, and exploding Kool-Aid Man, and falling pianos mix up the gameplay and keep the players moving around the map to avoid the constant chaos. Each character class also has the ability to summon a tank after charging a meter with bonuses from question mark boxes, kills, and time. Tanks come in light, medium, and heavy varieties, and have charged and standard shots. Tanks more than anything can affect the balance of the game, but a fair amount of the time players activate the tank ability at the same time. The 2 factions of the game are the Axis and Allies. Aside from the outward appearance, they share the same ability sets. Trooper types each have a set of alternate skins and personalities. My favorite varieties were the Axis Officer Sturmshark and Soldier Autobot. Characters have their own individual voice lines upon spawn, death, and opponent elimination, and for the most part are cute, similar to other multiplayers in this genre. I appreciated that the Axis quotes weren't overtly Nazi and no direct Third Reich imagery was present in the game, but I would have appreciated if the quotes were in English and not in German. Autobot says something about John Connor that I assume is a Terminator reference, but the rest of it was lost on me. There are 4 maps in the game. Moulin Rouge is a free-for-all map with a Christmas theme for the holiday. This map has the most personality, is totally chaotic, and the most fun to play. Sacre Bleu is a war-torn French village team deathmatch map that seemed to respawn you a little bit too close to the combat at times, but overall a good experience. Pyramid Scheme is a cartoony Egypt capture-the-flag match with Indiana Jones-like traps. This was one of the more confusing maps to play, and took multiple times to figure out. Dread Zeppelin is a King of the Hill point capture map that starts off with a giant leap from the aforementioned spring launcher, which is a ton of fun in VR. Speaking of VR, this game would be completely off my radar were it not for the VR aspect of the game. For review, I did play a few rounds of the flat game version of the game, Whereas the frame rate was super smooth and the graphics very sharp and clean, it had little appeal. The PSVR version of the game, on the other hand, adds a whole new level of experience to the multiplayer first-person shooter game. I've played other VR games that were converted to VR after the fact, but it makes all the difference that the game was designed for VR from the ground up. I look forward to more games like this, and from this developer. All of that being said, this game is in beta. I won't spend too much time laying out the faults of the game and the overall lack of polish. I don't expect this game to be Overwatch or Call of Duty when it comes to multiplayer matches. Network issues and lag created multiple events of players jumping, teleporting from one location to another, or taking damage long after the shots hit, or not taking any damage even though being directly hit. I found that targeting bot opponents not affected by the networking was the best course of action. Unlike other PSVR multiplayer online games, there was always a game going, even if half-populated by bots. I never had to wait more than a minute or two to get into the game. At times, it did seem that people were playing as a team, but most of the time it was just mindless running around and soloing. I would have liked to have had a voice chat built in, or at least a system of communication by emotes. I hope that over time the community builds for this game, and we see some teamwork and strategy. The control scheme varies from full analog controls with head aiming to VR comfort modes that snap turn to help reduce nausea. For the review, I played with full analog controls for maximum immersiveness. If you're playing this game for the first time, start off in the playground mode to get a feel for the weapons, spring jumps, crate abilities, and tanks. The frame rate and hit detection in the playground mode are great and really show the potential of what's to come. Overall, I think World War Toons is a great game for the price. Hey, it's free, without suffering from being a pay-to-win experience like other games of this type. Crates can be bought with in-game coin currency or purchased with credits called loonies. Upgrades in crates come in the form of cosmetic modifications like hats and skins, and upgrades to weapon reload, ammo capacity, and player movement speed. If you haven't tried out World War Toons yet, I advise you to at least give it a download and a few rounds of multiplayer. That being said, be aware that some aspects of the game like character select screen in VR can be confusing and frustrating. Sometimes the game makes you try and fit a puzzle piece into a puzzle to start playing, but you have to move the piece somewhere outside of the puzzle to start. Also, player death can be confusing, as often you will die for no apparent reason, and becoming a disembodied angel before returning to the character select screen was a weird choice. Immersion, 7 out of 10. The playground is super smooth, but the multiplayer has some glitchy issues. Vision. Nothing new to see here in gameplay. It's obvious that this game's roots are like Call of Duty and Team Fortress. Graphics, 7 out of 10. The cartoony graphic style and animation are great. At this point with the PSVR, you can't ask for much more. Sound, 5 out of 10. I never felt like the sounds were distant or near, like in games like Overwatch. On occasion, the sound of planes flying overhead were convincing. Gameplay, 6 out of 10. I like shooting the bots more than the people because I knew if I shot them, it was going to hit. At times, my cursor had an X on it instead of a regular reticle, and had no rhyme or reason as to why. I loved that this was an FPS in virtual reality, but I didn't have as much fun as I did with similar flat games. Replay value, 7 out of 10. The sense of progression will keep many players coming back. You want to level up your guns and characters and get enough coins for that next crate. As the game updates and patches, I'm sure that I'll be returning to this game plenty in 2017. Price to worth, 8 out of 10. Hey, it's free, but it could still be better. I'm looking forward to see what this game has to offer once out of beta. Options for comfort, 10 out of 10. I like that they give full FPS controls to this. The head aiming option is awesome, and it changes the face of VR first-person shooters. Loading times, 6 out of 10. The matches don't take long to start, but I think that's mostly because they're often populated by bots. Polish, 4 out of 10. It's a free online game. I'm sure new maps, skins, and modes will be added to keep it fresh. Pro support, yes! The PS4 Pro does improve the graphics and the frame rate. It's a pretty game. Final score, 65 out of 100. This is Danthol with PSVRLIFE with my review of World War Toons beta for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR headset.